Welcome to the Curate Your Life podcast with Temetria, where we focus on curating the life you've been dreaming of, one goal at a time, so you can make the rest of your life the best of your life. Okay, so hi y'all. Talking about the rest of your life, I want to take a step or take a moment and talk about what happens when we are focused on the past and what could have been. This happened to me the other day. I don't know what triggered it or why I went down this path, but I got irritated, really mad at my ex-husband. I've been divorced since 2009. But I just got really mad at him because things didn't turn out the way I thought they were going to turn out. And listen, it's been since 2009, right? I've worked through it. I thought I was over it or over a lot of it and have moved on. I have a fantastic life. But in that moment, for whatever reason, I was chapped. And I was chapped for a little bit. And in that, I worked myself up into a tizzy about the past and about something I could do nothing about. I was thinking about what could have been, what should have been. And when we think about that, it makes no sense whatsoever. It does us no good. Going through the past and looking at what could have been, what should have been, thinking about how things should have turned out is just telling ourselves a story in our heads because we have no idea how things really would have turned out. It really is a pointless exercise. And the reason that we do that is because we think somehow we would feel different from what we feel now or feel better. And we don't know that. The reason that you think if you'd made a different decision or if A had happened instead of B, you would be happier or feel better or feel a different emotion than you're currently experiencing. When in reality, there's no way we can know that for sure. What I was feeling in that moment was based on me thinking that if something had been different back then, I would feel differently now. And there's no way to really know that. And just those thoughts that things should have been different or things should have turned out differently were causing me the feelings of anger and sadness and frustration and a host of other emotions, right? When really there's no way I can know what could have been or how I would feel about it. We imagine that option A would have turned out better than option B, but nobody really knows that. So saying or thinking that something should have been one way or the other instead of the way it really is arguing with reality. And Byron Katie says that when you argue with reality, you lose, but only 100% of the time. Okay, so this picture just popped into my head. Imagine that you're in a forest and you're surrounded by trees and you're standing in front of a tree thinking that it should be an apple or a roll of tape or a song. And that sounds ridiculous, right? Why would you be standing talking to a tree, surrounded by trees, thinking that it should be something different or telling it that it should be something different? But that's what we're doing when we're thinking about the past and believing that it should be different. It's just as ridiculous as that. And we can believe it with all of our heart and our soul, and it still won't be true. It's just a story. It's just a story that we're telling ourselves. And so when I was in that moment, when I was telling myself that things should have been different, things should have worked out differently, where did it get me? Nowhere. It got me to chapped, upset, angry, in the exact same place that I started when I was thinking about it. What it resulted in was a good chunk of time wasted on being upset about something that can't be changed. That is just a losing battle any way you slice it. Thinking about what could have or should have or would have been is a losing battle. And you're spending mental energy and focus thinking about I call them shoulda, woulda, couldas, and you're not putting that energy and focus and time into what is possible and what you can control. Living in the past is pure fantasy. It's just storytelling. It's not even speculation, because speculation is considering what can happen. And that's even way more useful to consider. What can happen, what's possible, what you can influence or what you have agency over versus spending time on what has happened. The one minor exception I will concede for this rule is if you can find the lesson from the past that will move you forward. And if you can do so without beating yourself up about the decisions or circumstances that you can't change. And use the lesson to propel you forward, and don't spend the mental energy on what could have been, because you don't know. There's no way you can ever know that it would have been better. So instead of using all that energy and mental bandwidth on what ifs and the stories in your head, you could use it on what's next. What's my next best step? What can I control? What is in my power? And then you get to work on that path. You start down that road. And with each step at each juncture, you make the next decision that will move you forward, that will move you toward the place you want to go. Because when you're moving toward what you want, what you left behind is not that important. When you're standing in the middle of the road looking back, that keeps you stuck. But if you're standing in the middle of the road looking forward, it at least shows you what's possible. You can at least see what's ahead of you and what it might take to get there. You take the step and it goes the way you want, or you encounter the obstacle and you reevaluate, you recalculate. You're in charge of your next decision, and that is where you hold power. You have agency over your next decision. You're living intentionally and controlling what you can control. You can control your next step. You cannot control the step you took 10 minutes ago or even 2 minutes ago. You can control whether you listen to another second of this podcast, and I hope you do. You cannot control the fact that you just listened to about 10 minutes. So if you're thinking, I shouldn't have even started listening to this, too late, you're in it. So now the decision, do you keep listening or not? You can control that. And I hope you keep listening. But you can't control the fact that you've listened to this point. What you can do is think about the outcome that you want from this point forward and what is the next step to get there. Even if it was something that you wanted in the past that didn't work out the way you thought it would, you can ask yourself, do I still want this thing? The house, the car, the relationship, the job? And if the answer is yes, then the next question is, how do I get there from here? What is my next best step? Not why didn't I or what if? So I want to leave you with that. And when you start feeling stuck or ruminating about the past, ask yourself why, and remind yourself that it is only a story that you're telling yourself. And it's because you think somehow it would have been better than what is, and you cannot know that. What you can know is where you are now, what you want for your future, and then you can decide what you want to do about it, where you want to go from this point, and let that move you forward. If you feel stuck in the past and you feel like you can't get that forward momentum, book a consultation. I would love to help you really dig into what you want for the future and how to get there, what you want to create for yourself in the future and how to get there. And listen, we all have those moments, those what ifs, but if you're stuck there, if you can't get past that, schedule a consultation and let's talk about it. Until next time.